This episode of the Cellcast podcast was recorded in March of 2020, just as COVID-19 was beginning to take hold. We recorded this and many other episodes just in case that we were locked down and could not get together to record. Thankfully, this ended up not being the case, as we were able to record pretty much every episode from last year, with some exceptions. However, this week Jacob was actually sick, but not with COVID-19. Thankfully, it was, in fact, with just some sinus drainage and was not feeling up to recording this week. So we are jumping back and using one of those episodes. So y'all enjoy this review of the Looney Tunes short, I Love to Singa, about the moon and the June and the spring. This show is a part of Pop Americana. For more great shows like this one, please check the link in the episode description. Cartoons, the animated frontier. These are the voyages of the Cellcast podcast. Its continuing mission: to explore strange new cartoons, to seek out new animation styles and new creative storytelling methods, to boldly go where so few ever go again.
Am I wrong? Okay. This podcast is a part of Christian Geek Central Network. Wrong.
Hey, Scoop, what are you doing, man?
I don't know. I'm supposed to be reading an ad.
All right, hold on. Give me it.
Okay.
All right, this podcast is part of the Christian Geek Central Network at ChristianGeekCentral.com.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Cellcast
Shorts.
Joining me tonight is a man who likes to sing about the Moona and the Juna and the Springa, Jacob.
Why, thank you. I'd like to introduce our co-host, a man who's got a beat to his step. Welcome, Drew.
How are you doing today, Jacob?
Man, it's good. With the world how it is right now, with coronavirus or COVID-19, things are kind of just be like going about. A lot of people were struggling. Some have lost their jobs or been laid off. But I think what we're doing here with just trying to bring people a little bit of joy and laughter with our podcast, and I hope that's what we do with this. Mm-hmm. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm thankful that I'm an essential employee, so at least I still get a paycheck, and we are still praying for those who unfortunately have been laid off.
Yes,
due to this. But remember, this too shall pass.
Absolutely.
In the meantime, we hope to bring you some fun episodes here. What we've been doing is, just in case the quarantine hits and we can't get over to Jacob's and record, we decided to record a bunch of little short episodes so we could still get content out to you every week. And these shorts have all been reviews of classic Looney Tunes and Merry Melodies theatrical shorts from the 40s and 50s. This one's episode, something like this.
Yeah, something like that.
Today's episode might be the oldest one we've done so far. Mm-hmm. In fact, I'm fairly certain it is, as I believe this one was done in the 40s. And I think of the two of us, I'm the only one who'd seen it before.
Yeah, honestly, I've never seen this before because I may have seen it like very briefly, but probably turned the TV off. It's like, this looks old and boring.
I'm fairly certain this is another one of those Looney Tunes cartoons that Papa had recorded for us to watch in the other room while the adults were playing guitars or whatever. And so I'm fairly certain that's the primary reason I've seen this one.
Right.
And I've probably seen it more than most people. The name of the episode is I Love to Singa. Mm-hmm. It's in the 40s. I think it technically predates Warner Brothers buying out Merry Melodies.
Okay.
I think. I mean, Warner Brothers is still listed at the front of the episode, but I think that title card was added later. But do not quote me on any of that.
Right.
It is a Chuck Jones because
of course.
Somehow we ended up all Chuck Jones today.
Yeah.
I don't think it's Mel Blanc this time, though. I don't know who's voicing these characters because it did not say. But yeah, this is an interesting one.
It is.
Basic premise of the story is this music teacher Owl and his wife have some kids. One is sounds like a tenor.
Yeah.
One is a violinist. One is a flautist, and the other is a jazz singer.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, jazz is not well liked. So they're going to teach them how to sing their way, and goes poorly. And in a bout of anger, the kid is forced to leave, just to be nice.
Yeah.
And goes to perform on Jack Bunny's amateur hour
On radio.
on the radio. And that's pretty much the summary of that. We'll touch on the rest of it after the spoiler warnings. So what did you think? If you can talk about anything spoiler free?
It's definitely different. You can definitely tell it's a much older production, because it looks nothing like we would see later on, and the other Melody shorts. Mm-hmm. But it was still enjoyable. There was a very nice heart-to-heart lesson with that. The very end of it, we'll get to it later. But yeah, it's enjoyable. It's enjoyable. That's all I'm going to say about it. It's enjoyable.
All right. Well, I think that's going to be... I think we're going to go ahead and move into the spoiler section now. So, the following is a spoiler-filled review for the Looney Tunes short, I Love to Singa. That sounds weird. Listener discretion is advised. So... This one is stuck in my memory when I was a kid is the primary reason I remember it, because, like I said, I'd seen it a bunch of times growing up. And I think I'm one of the few people who actually did remember this, although it is on this particular Looney Tunes collection. So I'm guessing it must have been well remembered by some people. But it's an odd one. To be certain. It has, I think it predates most of the known Looney Tunes characters.
Right.
It is a one-shot by all technical accounts. The animation is much more, what do you call that? The rubber noodle ant style animation?
Yeah.
Where it's none of the, they're not really animating musculature. They're animating, everything's very noodly.
Yeah,
is the best way I know how to put that.
Rubber
noodle.
Yeah.
The character design I think looks great. We got, for the most part, all 3, 4, 5, 6 characters look the same, but there's enough difference.
Yeah.
Where it matters, I should say, because none of the 3 kids besides Al Jolson,
Al Jolson.
Really have anything that separates them outside of their initial appearance with the singer, the violin, and the flute, and you never see those again after that. They're just his 3 brothers at that point.
Yeah.
They are very owl-like, and I love most of the other little animals that are at the that are going through, or at the gong radio station. Especially the one that realizes, this isn't going to work, so he goes ahead and lets himself out instead of waiting for Jack Bunny to hit the bell and drop him down the slide.
Right.
I guess really what sticks with me is that little thing that I like to sing about the Muna and the Juna.
Yeah, that's what I remember about it.
That's what I mostly remember, and every once in a while that will pop in my mind during the day sometimes. It's just it's a fun, don't get me wrong, it's not a bad episode. It's just not as great as maybe I remembered.
Right.
But then I was seeing this alongside so many other great Looney Tunes ones back in the day that this was just, another random one that happens to not have any characters I recognize.
Right.
But yeah.
Well, for someone who'd probably seen it like at the briefest of moments when I was very young, and definitely the jarring difference of the animation style. It's still very well done for something that was done like in the early 40s or maybe in the 30s possibly.
I think it's 40s though.
Okay.
I'll double check while we're talking.
It's very well done, animation very wise. It's very rubbery. It's done by 2s, I think. It's done by 2s instead of 4s. what I pulled away from it, there's a lot of really cute sight gags, like how they're at the.
It is actually 1936.
Okay, so
I was wrong.
Okay, so it's in the 30s. It definitely makes sense that it was, with the animation style, it definitely looks like 1930s American cartoon.
And we were slightly wrong with the who directed it.
Yeah.
It was not a Chuck Jones. Chuck Jones was just on the animation team.
Oh, okay.
This is Tex Avery.
That makes sense now.
Yeah, this is very Tex Avery.
Yeah, okay. Now that totally changed my perspective now on it, because it does feel like a Tex Avery cartoon, and that totally makes sense now. Yeah, this was it was interesting. A lot of the the chicken who's a bit too large to go down the chute and gets bonked, and like you hear all the traditional bang boom bow clash, what have you, but it's the moral of the story which drew me in, which is he's different than everybody else, that he doesn't really fit in with everybody else, and so his parents are trying to be like, oh, we're gonna make him sing the way we want, like so many kids are kind of like they're being molded the way their parents want them to be, and then ultimately it just boils down to him being himself, embracing that ability which he has, and his parents accepting that. And I thoroughly enjoy that, because you have a lot of parents who want their children to be doctors or lawyers or someone who's rich and famous and powerful, what have you. And a lot of that talent is literally snuffed out because, what the parent wants, and they're not really letting that child breathe creativity. And, obviously some people could probably pull another analogy out of that, but I don't pull that out of be like, the analogy I pull out is that this child's ability is, he has a really nice ability, but his parents see it as, be like, this is jazz. You do not sing jazz. You sing what we want. And ultimately, they come to accept his ability and embrace his ability with an entire family number at the very end of this. So it's embracing those abilities. It reminds me so much of Idina Menzel when she talking in interviews about Frozen, was the fact that she had this amazing singing voice, but she was scared to death of being embarrassed or people making fun of her. And eventually coming to a realization, hey, this is the gift I have, and I'm going to use it, and I think that the world's, great joy the why she's done that. And so it's not, parents smothering their kid because they want their kid to be this. Let them be creative and let them be, express themselves artistically, and because you never know what could come from that. Yeah. And so just be like, and I know this is an older style of parent raising, but it still exists. It still exists. And it's sad when you hear a child that has a great potential and a great ability, and they're basically being, hammered into submission that, no, you have to be this. So just in the artistic sense, be the artist you want to be. And hopefully your parents, they're allowed to flourish in that. And that's what I kind of took away from it, is the being able to express yourself artistically the way you want, and not how everybody else wants you to do it. That's what I took away from it.
So I don't know if you caught, there was a weird little joke in there that's kind of in the background. Okay. When the father is calling the son names. Yeah. One of them was Schulsinger. Did you catch that?
Schulsinger.
Right. I'm probably saying it wrong.
Yeah.
That's actually the producer's last name.
That's right, it is.
Yeah. I thought that was funny.
That was I didn't catch gag. It, but when you said that, I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, wow. That's deep. That's a deep cut.
Leon Schulsinger. And if I said that wrong, my apologies. But yeah, that was an interesting little thing. And plus, I don't know, throughout all of the animated stuff we recorded tonight, there's a lot of these little sight gags in the background that honestly I should have talked about, we didn't.
Yeah, but
yeah, it's. This is just a weird episode in many ways. It's one I like and it's one I remember, but it's also just because I just looked through some production notes on that while we were talking. This actually has a lot of different voice actors in it, unlike the other ones we recorded where there's maybe one or two.
Yeah,
this one had there's 7 or 8 different little voice actors that played different parts. Most of it is in the the Jack Bunny Gong
the studio
Show section. But the fact this was just, I'm sure it's just short little stuff that they brought in. I say voice actors, they were probably recorded for other things.
Yeah.
And then just used here. But it was still kind of funny. It was still funny to watch.
Agreed.
And I enjoyed it.
Yeah. I find it just more for the entertainment value, maybe the lesson learned in it. The animation there, again, it is not late 1930s, so it does have that very much feel, and it has that very much Tex Avery.
Oh yes,
yes. So yeah, I enjoyed it.
I think this would officially be the oldest thing that we've reviewed on the show.
I think so,
and will probably be the oldest thing we review for a long period of time.
Yeah,
because this is gonna, whenever we get around to Snow White, which we'll have to do at some point.
Oh yeah,
that's after this.
Yeah.
So yeah. All right. So what are you gonna rate this one?
I'm gonna give it a 7.5. I enjoy it. It's got a really good, deeper message. As far as I from my perspective, there's a really nice message behind it. The animation is good for 1930s, and it's a good story. It's good animation for its time, and it's enjoyable. It's enjoyable. That definitely some people should definitely track down and watch. It's really good. So, what do you think?
I'm going to give it about a 7. There is a lot of nostalgia for this one because I do remember this one coming up, and mostly, even though it's mostly around that one line of "I love to sing it."
Yeah,
and that's what stuck with me for so long. It's a good episode. It's a little sparse, I think, but not in a bad way. Not like Chowhound was, in my opinion.
Yeah.
This one has a singular plot. It doesn't have many jokes, but it doesn't need jokes.
Right.
I mean, there are jokes. Don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of that. It's almost. If I had to mark this down, and I don't know if this is because of the time period or how the film has aged or what, but or maybe it's just the voice actor for all I know, but the voice of the Papa Owl is a little hard to understand.
Yeah,
a lot of times. Part of it's his accent. I think part of it's also audio recording at the time and some audio degradation over time. I'm not sure entirely, but that's the primary thing I don't like about this one. But it's still a good episode, and that's why I'm just giving it a 7 because it's good, but it's not great.
Yeah.
So yeah. That brings us to the end of another episode of the Cellcast Shorts. We thank you for joining us on this, and we'll catch you hopefully in the next episode.
All right,
whatever that is.
Thanks, guys.
Come, Jacob. We must prepare for next week.
Prepare for what, Drew?
The same thing we do every week, Jacob. Record a podcast.
Oh boy.
So where can they find you, Jacob?
You can find me on Facebook at Jacob B. Heron, also on Facebook at Jacob's Daily Art Corner, where I try to draw each and every day. I don't get to it as often as I like, but join me there. Also, you can find me on Instagram at Jacob B. Heron, on Twitter at Jacob Heron, and Letterboxd at Jacob Heron. So where can they find you, Drew?
You can also follow me on Letterboxd at GGeorge759, Facebook as Drew Dodgen, my Facebook page, where you can see pictures I've taken at Drew's Photo Bin. You can also follow me on Twitter at GGeorge759.
You can email us at thecellcastpodcast@gmail.com.
You can also follow us on Twitter at cast_cell.
You can follow us on Twitch at twitch.tv/thecellcastgaming.
You can also follow us on YouTube at Cellcast.
Listen to our podcast on Apple Podcasts,
Google Play Podcasts,
Stitcher,
Spotify,
and your favorite podcast directory.
You can also listen to us on the Movie of the Week podcast with Jim Herron, where we talk about live-action movies. And remember, Cell is a single L.